And to get an opposition reaction, joining us now is the BJP's leader in the Rajya Sabha, Mr. Arun Jaitley. Appreciate your joining us, Mr. Jaitley. The Prime Minister in his press conference, Mr. Jaitley said, "I don't say I've never made any mistake, but I am not that big a culprit as is being made out to be." Your response, how do you see the Prime Minister having come out? Has he come out cleaner?
Well, in the first instance, the Prime Minister was only concerned about his personal position and not the position of his government. Read the whole press conference, watch it. You were there, right there, asking questions. He cannot deny that this is a very corrupt government. He cannot deny that he inducted corrupt ministers. He cannot deny that the policy which was framed for the purposes of allocation of the 2G spectrum, or what the ISRO was doing in a department right under the Prime Minister, was causing huge loss to the people of India, the public exchequer. All he says is, I had no choice in the selection of Mr. A. Raja as a minister. Mr. Karunanidhi forced this choice on me. I had no role in the framing of the policy. Mr. Raja misled me that this is how it is supposed to be done, and I had left it to him and the finance minister to do it, so he conveniently passes the buck. Then he says, when all this was happening, I didn't realize till very late what was happening, and therefore I am personally not responsible for it. As far as ISRO is concerned, well, they did make a proposal and came out with this contract on the Devas deal with the Antariksh. But then it was once we received the Space Commission's recommendations, they've had meetings, but these are not backdoor meetings. I have personally not had a meeting, and therefore my office has done nothing wrong. All that he was doing is, yes, it's a corrupt government, there is corruption, but I am not personally responsible for it. And I tell you, I'll try to do something better in future.
He kept insisting, though, Mr. Jaitley, that this is a coalition government. There are certain compulsions of coalition governments, but I will not compromise with corruption. That on corruption, we are dead serious about punishing the wrongdoers. They will be sent to jail, not just Mr. Raja, but others as well. Are you not willing to take the Prime Minister at face value?
Well, I don't take him at the face value, because when this policy was framed, let me remind the Prime Minister, he incorrectly told you people there was a TRAI recommendation saying that the market value should be determined as of 2007, when the contracts were being given and the spectrum allotted in January 2008. They said the 2001 rate will not apply. It must be determined by a market mechanism. Right. That's the exact language of the TRI recommendation. Thereafter, on 15th of January 2008, Mr. Chidambaram, as the finance minister, wrote to him saying that the auction is the right course. This is not the proper course. It's a scarce resource, and there is a scarcity value of this resource. The finance minister is telling you on the 15th of January 2008 that this can't be done by a methodology other than the auction, and you say, no, I had left it to the finance minister and the telecom minister. They may be liable. I am personally not liable. Therefore, I don't take any explanation that the Prime Minister is giving. He is the head of the government. The government is collectively liable as far as this corruption is concerned, and he, as the head of the government, all this having been brought to his notice, is personally liable because for 3 years he failed to take any action and caused wrongful loss to the government of India.
You know, Mr. Jaitley, the Prime Minister, when I specifically asked him about whether he was ready to appear before a JPC in the 2G scam, says, I'm ready to appear before any commission, including a joint parliamentary commission. Do you now see that as an inevitability, and do you believe that this will break the deadlock in Parliament at least?
I hope this happens. I hope this happens, because there are questions which a lot of people have to answer, and I'm sure if the Prime Minister has agreed to, does agree eventually to form a JPC, and he, I believe, should be the last word in the government, then perhaps all this can be debated in Parliament and the JPC can do its work.
Mr. Jaitley, the Prime Minister, as I said, not only spoke of compulsions of coalition politics, but admitted to an ethical deficit that exists in governance. Do you believe that this is a larger crisis that goes beyond the UPA 2, beyond the BJP Congress tussle, that there is a serious crisis that the country faces of an ethical deficit, or do you believe this is specific to this government and one that the Prime Minister must answer?
It is specific to this government, but I agree with your question and the spirit of your question that this is a larger question which faces public life in India. We need to inspire a lot of better people to get into politics, the quality of people, because the power that politics wield is huge, and therefore the quality of men who man politics definitely needs to be the very best. And certainly there is a lot of scope for improvement as far as that is concerned.
How would you quickly...
And this is an issue which cuts across party lines.
My final question to you, how will you rate the Prime Minister's press conference if you were giving marks out of 10?
I think he tried to derive a lot of sympathy by saying, look, the others in the government are corrupt, I'm not able to check them, but please don't hold it against me because my office didn't know all these things. Now, this is not leadership.
Okay.
This is escapism at its very best.